Adam, welcome to the podcast.
Adam, thank you for having me on the podcast.
We have a ripper name, don't we?
Oh, we do. We do indeed. Don't need many Adams these days.
No, it's a bit of a biblical name, so I think it's out of favor these days.
Yeah, I suppose since Adam Levine left Maroon 5, it's all going downhill.
That was it. Yeah, that was it. We'll just have to bring the name back.
We will. Oh, we will. Absolutely.
Good. Yeah, brilliant. So, look, I just want to say thank you for coming on. I think the ability for someone to live remotely but financially sustainable is a dream for many. And you guys, you've done it. You've done it through your business. You've done it personally. So, and you also support other people in their ability to do it. So, I've been interested in chatting to you. And then as I dug into the work you do, I realized there's also like a deep well of wisdom surrounding everything you do. So I think that's a bit of a sweet spot for what I want to put out for the content and the podcast. So I'm excited to chat to you.
Amazing. Yeah, it's certainly my dream life. It may not be everybody's dream life, but it certainly is mine. And whilst it has its downside, everything in life has equal up and downside. And I'm a firm believer in that you just need to choose the upside that you want, given the downside that it brings.
Okay, nice. Well, on that note, if you could give us an elevator pitch of who you are, what you do, and how you're contributing to the world, what would that sound like?
Oh, yeah. I breathe carbon dioxide and plants love that. And that's my big contribution. So my name's Adam Taylor. I've never liked titles. I'm not sure why, but yeah, essentially over at Nomadic Closer, we have a brand and an ecosystem for remotely based high ticket sales reps. So that's how the Nomadic Closer comes about. I specifically run the done for you sales growth firm, in which we partner up with companies and run their sales teams for them, completely hands off and done for you, completely hands free. Nomadic Closer as a whole, though, has a pretty cool ecosystem. It's something that the founder and my partner, obviously Joel Elster, founded, I think, 2.5 years ago now. Really born out of just being a nomad who is a closer.
Seems on brand.
Yeah. And he kind of put 2 and 2 together and he got 4. So he started a Facebook group originally, just for like-minded individuals, people who are closers and who are nomads. And so we now have 2,900 members in that free Facebook group. And initially it developed almost accidentally into a recruitment and placement business for him, where business owners would try and join the group. And so he would not allow them to enter the group, but he would reach out to them and say, hey, what prompts you to want to join the group? What are you looking for? And they said, I'm looking for a closer. And he's like, oh, okay, what kind? Let me see if I can help. He would then put together a list, send them over, and they would pay him for that. And he was like, oh, shit, I'm in the recruitment business now. So I think last year he then partnered up with Harlan, who is the third partner of Nomadic Closer, and they started a Nomadic Closer Academy with sales training for high-ticket closers. Very much different to the standard sales training out there, where it focuses first and foremost on the person. On discovering your mission, your vision, your why, your core values, to be able to actually find your true authentic voice in selling and not sound just like your sales trainer, which is something that happens a lot in the sales space, where people sign up to a sales training and sales program and they're just trying to mimic their mentor, and it really brings them out of alignment with who they are, what they stand for, how they communicate, how they feel, act, and the vibe that they give off, and it just becomes inauthentic. And it's a bit of a downward spiral from there. So we have that. I joined then end of last year to then grow the Done For You agency side of things, where we run sales teams for high ticket companies, front to back sales process. We love all of the nitty gritty day-to-day shit that business owners typically hate and become a bottleneck for very, very quickly. And so we specialize in taking teams from anywhere between 0 and 200K per month, all the way to $1 million a month pretty quickly. We kind of know that pathway very, very well now. And the last thing that we do at Nomadic Closer, which I'm very, very excited about, is we launched this year the first edition, the first season, and the first ever co-living experience for high-ticket closers called the Nomadic Closer House. And so what we did is we rented a big-ass fat villa here in Medellin, We got 7 guys together for a 4-week experience of helicopter rides, gun shooting, paintballing, wakeboarding, all the cool stuff. What else did we do? Good Lord, ice baths. We did sound healing ceremonies, like all sorts of stuff. Culminated in ATVs, and then culminated in a big charity event we did where we went down and fed 800 people in the center of Medellin here. Something that's a second core value of Nomadic Closer is altruism, so that we know that the more we get to give. And so, it was a phenomenal experience where we had some amazing workshops and masterminds during the week. But the real thing that we did was we got closers out of their rooms, out of staring at 4 walls on Zoom, obsessing about hitting their 20K commission months, and actually got them to enjoy their 20K commission months, make actual connections, meet people in real life who are going through the same thing, be able to chat by the coffee machine in between calls about things that had happened on a sales call that nobody else can understand, but they can relate to. And man, it was an awesome experience. Something we'll be announcing season 2 of very, very soon.
Might have to pop over. I don't even do high ticket sales, but it sounds fun.
You want to be in it now? That's a typical response I get. It was phenomenal. Really, really excited about it. Very passionate about it.
Yeah, I can tell. It's good. You need to be.
Why bother otherwise?
Well, you'll just get eaten alive. So if you're not. It sounds like you're living quite an interesting life. You mentioned previously that you said you were semi-professionally in rugby?
Yeah, so my first job out of school actually was a professional rugby player.
Oh, there you go.
Yeah, I was born in England, and then when I was 13, my family moved over to Spain. Mm-hmm. So I finished school in Spain, kept playing rugby there. So I was lucky enough to play for the Spanish national team, etc. And then coming out of school, I did not want to study. That was for sure. I didn't want to go to university. Didn't really know what I wanted to do. But my dad then said, "Well, why don't you just become a professional rugby player?" I was like, "You think I could?" And he was like, "Yeah, I think you could." So, bless him, he drove me all over the south of France, applied to all the professional clubs around there and did all the trials, and got selected for a club called Mont-de-Marsan dans les Landes on the Atlantic coast of the southwest of France. Probably some of the toughest rugby in the world. It's very close to the Basque country in the north of Spain. And the Basque culture, they're big men. They just grow very big over there, and they just really enjoy hurting people.
Sounds like the Maoris.
Love it, mate.
Yeah,
something along those lines.
Different.
Something along those lines, yeah. And so it's a real hotbed of rugby in France. Kind of like the southwest of England is a bit of a hotbed for rugby union. The southwest of France is the same. Mm-hmm. And so that was a tough way to make a living for a good 2.5 years. I was out there.
Yeah, how's the brain cells?
Well, I eventually finished my career in Germany. So I went from there to finish my career in Germany to go and study, and found that the level of rugby in Germany was a lot better than I thought it would, but it was a lot easier than France, let's put it that way. I did finish my career though, 2015, I believe it was, when I had 3 concussions in 10 days.
Oh.
Yeah, that got hairy. Yeah, the third one, actually the first of the 3 was probably the worst. It was from kickoff. We were second in the league. They were first in the league. My opposite number, I used to play number 7, open side flanker. My opposite number was kind of like rated as one of the best in the country. And I was like, okay, we'll see about that today. And so,
I'm sorry about that.
Yeah. So we kicked off and he caught it. So I'm like, okay, let's start as a mean to go on. I went full force, everything I had into him. And I had this kind of like a whiplash effect when I hit him, and my head hit against his hip bone. Oh,
no, okay.
Yeah. So I kind of, seeing stars, very dizzily got to my feet. But the last couple of seasons of my career, every time I got a knock to the head, I would need to play on for a few minutes to see if I was just dizzy or if I was concussed.
Yeah.
And if I was concussed, I would go off. If I was dizzy, I would clear my head and I would carry on. Terrible way to go. Please, nobody do this. It's the worst thing to do. But it's the first minutes of the game. Big game. We're second. They're first. It's my opposite number. I can't show that I'm hurt. So I carry on. I'm badly concussed. I play on for an hour. I played for the whole first half and halfway through the second half. I'm like drunk. I was basically drunk. I've got like vague memories of it, of people talking to me and me just kind of like staring at them, trying to figure out what they were saying.
Oh shit.
Yeah. And it got so bad that in the second half they broke through. And so I turned to run to chase them. And as I turned, I kind of like ran and I just fell like a drunk guy on my own, like staggered, just like, woo. And I remember hitting the ground and I remember looking at I could see the blades of grass in front of my eyes. And I was like, I think I need to go off. I could clear as day remember thinking that. And so I stood up and I just walked to the touchline. And they're like, are you okay? And I'm like, I couldn't really talk to them. Yeah. So that was on a Saturday. Then, they said, okay, yeah, you had a concussion, so just don't do any contact during the week, but we need you next weekend. I was like, okay, so play next weekend. Of course, same thing happens. I go off after 5 minutes. Then the Wednesday after, so this is like the space of 10 days, we're in training and I'm like holding the bags for the guys, just like helping out in training. And somebody accidentally hit me with their elbow on the head about that hard. About no harder than that.
Okay,
and I dropped straight to the floor. Legs were gone. Didn't know where I was. Blacked out. They had to carry me off, and I mumbled for a good 3 or 4 days after that.
Oh, shit.
Yeah. And at the time, I didn't know it was going to be 3 or 4 days. So I was like, oh, this is bad. I had a really bad 24-hour depression, which I didn't know was a symptom of concussion. I thought I was going crazy. So yeah, after that, I thought, do you know what? I might need my brain the next few years. I think I'm good on the rugby for now. So that's when I packed it in.
That's wild. So with the concussions, once you've been concussed once, are you more likely to be concussed again?
Yes. If you don't let it heal completely, it gets progressively easier. And that's why the third one was it was that. And I could do that all day to myself now. Not that I want to.
Yeah, just try not to.
At the time, that gave me such a bad concussion that I mumbled for 3-4 days. And that's when... Do you know what happened after that? 4 weeks later, the film Concussion from Will Smith came out. Have you ever seen that film?
Nah.
So it's a movie about a very true story in the States, in the NFL, where a Nigerian doctor, figured out the relationship between NFL football playing concussions and them going and having dementia. And there was a guy who kind of shot his family. He killed his family and killed himself. And he... what's his name? The wrestler? Chris Benoit? Yeah, but there was also a football player did it as well.
Okay, God.
Yeah, there was unfortunately, yeah, dude. But he killed himself. I think he shot himself in the chest, and he left a note to leave his brain to science because he knew something was wrong with him.
Oh wow!
Yes, mate. This is it's a crazy story. So this Nigerian doctor, he was doing all these studies, and he found the connection. So he goes to the NFL. He says, "Guys, I've cracked it. This is amazing. We have to be really careful with the concussions. We have to give them proper rest. I found out and the NFL, don't ever tell anybody this ever. These are multi-million-dollar assets. You're not putting them on the sideline for a little bit of a headache. Go fuck yourself." And they basically did everything in their power to. They got him disbarred. They got his medical license revoked. They did this whole smear campaign against him to go and quash it. And then it came to light. And so Will Smith plays the Nigerian doctor in that film. That film came out 4 weeks after this happened, and it completely changed the face of world sport and how they treat concussions. Before, it was a little bit of cold water in your face. Go on, son, you'll be all right.
Sure.
Now it's a mandatory 90-day rest. And if you have 3 concussions over your professional career, you are banned from playing. You cannot stop playing. You cannot continue playing after you have 3 concussions. I probably had more than 10 over my career.
That's nuts. I listened to a podcast from, do you know The Diary of the CEO?
Yeah. Stephen Bartlett.
So he did a podcast with a brain doctor, and he talked a lot about concussion. You'd probably find it quite interesting. He mentioned he did his whole thing was, I've done thousands of brain scans, blah 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 blah. And he mentioned that ginkgo biloba. Have you heard of this herb?
Yep.
Ginkgo biloba is amazing for concussion repair.
Ooh.
That and BPC 157 is another one as well.
Yes.
So Yeah, I was having headaches for a while, and I didn't know why. I was hitting. I just happened to go through a stint of hitting my head because I'm tall and just like traveling in Europe. Everything's small. It's just like bang. This is getting ridiculous. But it was starting to I just had this default headache, and I took ginkgo biloba and BPC for a while, and it's gone. I didn't go to the doctors about it. I just did it.
That's fascinating. Wow. I wish I'd have known that a few years ago. Yeah.
Well, now you know. I mean, it's not too late. You probably cooked your brain for a little bit, to be honest. So it's probably a bunch of repair you could be doing.
Yeah.
So,
I had, I did get my testosterone levels tested at the beginning of the year, and they were shockingly low. Man.
What were they?
135 or something. I was like, why am I not dead?
Wait, what?
I thought it was ridiculous, mate.
Mine's 750 right now. I just got them done.
Yeah, they're back up now because I was feeling terrible, mate. Don't get me wrong, I was feeling it. But a biohacker that I spoke to has been biohacking since the 90s. He said, "You played rugby, right?" I was like, "Yeah." And he said, "Do you have a lot of concussions?" I was like, "Yeah, I did."
Shit.
That could be related to it.
Yeah,
concussion can also be related to a drop in. It affects your hormone levels, which is why I had the depression the next day, etc. It completely whacks out your hormonal levels, neurotransmitter levels. So there's all sorts of actually really bad consequences. And
ADHD as well. There's this idea that ADHD is a potential side effect of concussions.
Is
head
that
trauma.
So?
Yeah.
I think I've gone through phases of it, but I think I've got a good grasp on my focus now. It's something I have to very consciously work on to be able to focus and hide my phone, all these kinds of things. But,
yeah, for sure.
The testosterone level was wild. That was crazy. I need to get it redone now, though.
What did you do with the testosterone level? What was the protocol that got you out of it, and where's your testosterone levels now?
I got on TRT.
Oh, okay. Okay.
I just went straight to the quick fix.
Where are they at now? 4,000?
I hope so. I don't know. I actually I'm due a test. But yeah, I went on. I just went on TRT. It was after speaking to a few people. There's a lot of guesswork in getting your testosterone levels back up naturally. There's a lot of lifestyle stuff that I changed, which is why I do the sun in the morning. I move. I go to bed at night. I go to bed on time. That's a good start. Like circadian rhythm, right? So there's a lot of lifestyle stuff that I fixed. But at the age of 36, now nearly 37, it's okay to then start looking at
I've heard this
boosting those levels. And something that I feel. Not advocating for it. This is only personal, anecdotal experience. I feel phenomenal since I bet. I feel energized, just ready for life. It's been a huge benefit for me. So, not advocating for it. It's a personal preference and decision. But for me, it was very, very beneficial. Yeah,
brilliant. Well, I mean, I think the testosterone levels in men is the lifeblood of what we've got to work with. So we should get it figured out.
Literally our life force. Yeah. Everything's conspiring against them.
Oh, yes. We can get into that.
Right. Just the lights, our circadian rhythm, the way that we manipulate lights, the exposure to all the different waves and there's chemicals and everything is conspiring against them. The average female handshake in the 70s was stronger than the average male handshake today in the US. Did you know that?
That's a true stat. It's somebody just going around with a handshake and measuring this. How the fuck did they figure that out?
I wonder what the average high five kind of force was. But I don't know if it's that. Average female handshake in the 70s was stronger than the average male handshake today. Isn't that wild?
We're becoming little bitches.
Basically, look at those photos of the guys on the beach in the 70s.
Yeah.
Dude, studs. Yep. Ripped, lean, brown, fucking healthy. Now, oof.
Soy boys. Seed oil soy boys.
Seed oil soy boys, exactly. Yeah. But it's shocking. It's alarming. Wild. And because obviously it happens so progressively and gradually, it's very difficult to notice until you have that start comparison because it becomes normal. And so obviously, people that are like, why do you wear your blue light blocking glasses in the evening? And well, because blue light is apparently not really very good for you. but that's normal to look at screens, or it's normal to watch TV. Everybody does it. Well, yeah, but that doesn't mean it's good for you.
Yeah, for sure.
Normal doesn't mean it's good for you. The average male in America is pre-diabetic, overweight, divorced, and has less than $1,000 in the bank account. That's the average male in the US. I'm not interested. I'll wear my blue light blockers. Thank you very much.
Well, you know what? I've got this idea of like, do average things get average results? So if
100%.
if everyone's like eating a certain diet and everyone's acting a certain way, and then the standard is X, and then you look at what the outcome of X is, and you don't want that outcome, you got to start doing something different.
100%. And that was literally the big realization I had from reading Tools of Titans. These guys get different results because they do different things. It was that simple. It was just mind blown.
Yeah. I want to go back quickly because it might even be valuable for you and other people listening to this. One of my podcast guests, his name's Lucas Aon. He is a pretty prominent biohacker. He has a course on how to naturally increase your testosterone levels. You should probably check it out. It's really, really good. He's an absolute gun. But I've been doing, just because we're buddies now, I've been doing like a couple of the things that he suggests. And one of them is Tonkat Ali. I've been taking Tonkat Ali. Yep. That took my testosterone levels up by about 30%. Just alone. Mine were at they were at 400 and something. And then I started taking Tonkat Ali and they went up to 700 and something. And I did the test. I did the studies before and after to check. And the second one, I've just been like icing my balls. I bought these underwear where it like has a little pouch and you put this like little ice pack in there, and I just like it fires you up. It's so weird. It's so weird. It's really, really cool. It's
that's crazy. I've never heard of that one.
Yeah, I think the brand's called Primal Ice. And they're great. Like I if I'm feeling a little bit flat and I want to and I need to like go to the gym or something and I'm just kind of tired, I'll do that and I'll walk to the gym. And by the time I like get to the gym, I'm kind of fired up. Yesterday I was at the gym and I had had women looking at me in like ways that they weren't looking at me in the past. I don't know why. And I'm like, what the fuck's going on today? And then I look down and I've just got this like package. And I'm like,
no,
that'll probably do it. But it wasn't a bad look. It was a good look. They didn't realize I had a fucking ice pack in my pants.
What in the world? That's crazy. What's the brand called?
Primal Ice.
Primal Ice.
Yeah, I'll get you a promo code.
Yeah, please.
My friend's got a promo code.
That's crazy. I've never heard of that one. Tonkat Ali I'd heard of. Did you test it as the only variable that took the
pretty
30%?
Much? Yeah, pretty much.
There wasn't a whole lot of else that changed?
I'm pretty consistent with a lot of other things. And anything that did change wasn't necessarily like testosterone related. Yeah, it was just like other shit.
Okay.
Maybe 20% different. But the fact that it went up by 30% was just in itself a reasonable indicator.
Yeah. I've heard that kind of a jump. A friend of mine measured the difference between his deep sleep with and without mouth tape.
Oh yeah, I've been doing mouth tape as well.
Oh, don't you feel more refreshed in the morning?
Yeah, I've got the nose tape. We got the little nose strip and the mouth tape.
And the mouth, yeah. I'm geared up at night, dude. I've got the mouth tape. I got the nose strip. I got the silicone earplugs. I got this great eye mask, which is like literally goes around the eyes. There's nothing gets in or out. I am like going to war.
It's so funny. How funny. I don't know what you're like when you're related. Like, I'm guessing the lady that was behind us is like a partner.
Yes. Yeah. I'm in a relationship. Yeah.
So, you probably don't have the same issue, but like, imagine going down that route when you just like have a girl over for the first time and you're like, are we done now? Are we done kissing? Because the tape's going on. I mean, I'm not talking from personal experience because, I haven't seen it. No,
of course, yeah. Just,
but just theoretically, if that was to happen.
Just things you hear in passing by.
Yeah. Just watching people while they sleep. All right, we are getting off topic here. So I want to understand the early years, because the early years shape you as a human. So what are the contexts of those years? You mentioned early on that you moved to a few different countries, and a little note that I noticed was that you were kind of kicked up the arse by your dad about potentially making a career in rugby. Do you think there are two parts of the question? The first part is understanding the early years, but before that, do you think that if you didn't have that push by your dad, you could have been successful in that career?
No, I wouldn't have thought that. I wouldn't have thought of that as an option.
Why?
That I could actively go for. I thought professional rugby players are like, it just happens, and I'm just not that guy.
Interesting.
I knew I was good. I just didn't think I was that good.
So the support of a healthy male role model to guide you.
Lucky as hell with my dad.
Yeah.
I hit jackpot there.
Yeah.
Great guy. God, I love him to bits.
Yeah.
I was very, very fortunate to have him. He was very, so growing up, he was very much always treated me as an adult, even though I was a kid. If that makes sense.
Interesting.
He respected me.
What's an example of that?
An example of that would be when I didn't want to finish school. I was 16 in Spain, and I didn't like school. I was probably bunking off more than I was going. It was too easy for me, to be honest, as well. I was getting good grades without even being there.
That's an interesting concept.
Yeah, and it was probably like my 8th or 9th school at this point.
Yeah.
I've been to a couple of different ones in England, a few different ones in Spain. I wasn't clicking with the kids there either. I didn't really have good friends there, not like solid mates, you know what I mean? I was feeling a bit lonely maybe. Just wanted to do the rugby thing as well. I didn't like it. And so at 16, obviously the last 2 years of school, 17, 18, you can leave school at 16 and go and do learn to be a carpenter or learn to be a plumber and whatnot. And so I felt comfortable enough to go approach my dad and tell him this. And I think there's something to be said for that even. Yeah. I think there's a lot of kids would be very fearful to go and tell their parents something like that. Yeah. I certainly didn't approach my mum about it, that's for sure. But I told my dad. And rather than freak out or try and, say I'm being silly, he listened to me and he sat me down and he talked me through it. And he without ever forcing me to make a decision, he basically got me to realize that if I just sit it out for another 2 years, what I'll have is options. He said, if you have the option to study and go to university, you have the option of more jobs. If you don't have that, you have less options. And so he said, if you just sit it out for another 2 years, just tough it out, you can do it. The studying's not hard for you. That's not the hard part. It's just the time, isn't it? It's the waiting. Yeah. And you give yourself that option. He said, you don't have to go and study at university if you don't want to. I won't make you, but I would like you to have that option. And I was like, fuck, you're right. That would be probably one of the best examples where I just felt so listened to and respected. But he guided me. He was like a good manager. He was like a good manager as opposed to a parent. He was a fucking great parent, of course. But do you know what I mean? He would guide me, mentor me, manage me without ever forcing anything upon me.
Interesting.
And he had a very deep set belief in that I would always be fine. Interesting.
Yeah. So what will you take from that to pass on to your parenting style?
Just that, treating so I'm not sure if I'll have kids myself. I've never really had that feeling or calling to it. But I do have some of my, two of my best mates, they live back in Germany. They both have 2 kids each. Godfather to one of them. I love kids. I love kids a bit. And what I enjoy with that, I'm very conscious and mindful of, and I think I get this from my dad as well, I'm very conscious and mindful that they are observing and listening and absorbing everything that you do, everything that you say, your body language, the way you react to situations, especially when you're kind of like cool Uncle Adam that they listen to more than their parents sometimes. be frank. Like, we've done it as kids, haven't we? We've listened to Cool Uncle rather than mum and dad in many occasions. So I really do take that to heart, and I just get that from my dad as well, that every little moment matters. And if you think about it, a moment in a child's life is proportionately a much larger percentage of their whole life than it is when you're older. And so that's why each of these moments matter. And they can be tiny little things as to how you react. And I'm just very conscious and mindful of it when I'm around kids that I love and really, really care about. I think that's something I get from him as well.
Okay, interesting. Okay, so you moved on from rugby and then went into sales. So run me through how that happened, what the thought process was, and what happened.
Yeah. So it was a transition between rugby and sales that was the fitness industry. So yeah, when I finished rugby, I fell into the fitness industry because working at a bar was kind of fun, but the hours sucked. So I thought, okay, well, where else am I when I'm not playing rugby? And I was in the gym. I was like, well, I like that. Let me go and give that a crack. So started there just on reception, then trainer, and then did a thing in Germany where you study and work at the same time. Studied fitness economy, so it's basically business studies for the fitness industry. Became a manager there, and then they gave me the full responsibility for a brand new chain of gyms that they opened. These behemoth €15 a month discounter, 4,500 square meter, 3-story, 24-hour, just mammoth project.
Do those things, out of curiosity, make money? Like, are they actually money? Because it's a big overlay. So what's the business model?
Yeah, they don't make a bunch of money. What they do is they just keep the competition out.
Interesting.
It's market share.
So what's like an acceptable margin for like a smaller gym versus a gym like that? Like a profit margin at the end of...
Those are running on like 10 to 15% profit margins. Not a lot.
At what capacity of, like, let's just say you got 4,000 square foot, how many people can you have on the books?
So when I left, we had just over 10,000 members.
And it's low cost, right?
It's €15 a month. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, it's nothing. That's nothing.
The model is get people to sign up and hope they never come.
Is that what happens?
Yeah.
I mean, I guess with the low barrier to entry, there's like a low commit. Yep. So therefore people aren't as motivated to come.
And they can cancel and guarantee you 12 months down the line, if they still live in the same area, they'll want to lose weight again and they'll come straight back.
Yeah.
It's repeat customers, even if they do cancel.
Interesting.
And there's certain things you can do about it as well. So, Planet Fitness, for example, we didn't do this, but Planet Fitness in the States, to ensure that people don't come, what they do is they look at all of the equipment that people that regularly go to the gym use, like barbells, like, squat, deadlift, squat racks, this cool equipment, and they just won't have it. Isn't that crazy? And so it'll be full of adductor and abductor machines.
Oh my God.
That people think will get them into shape, go once, maybe twice, and then never come back. They literally just put the equipment in there that services the people. I'm dead.
I know, it's why it's so funny.
Absolute truth. It's crazy, isn't it? It's such a crazy business model. Yeah. So I did that for a couple of years. Yeah, we built that up to two locations. We had 15,000 members total across the two when we left. Staff of 50. It was an amazing experience. And then I went and became a partner and owner in a joint owner in the CrossFit gym that I was a member of. So I had gotten into CrossFit after rugby because it was competitive, it was athletic. I used to play number 7 flanker, which you have to be pretty all-round in. That suited CrossFit really well. But it was indoors and nobody was trying to punch me in the face.
Unless you piss them off.
Yeah, unless you just beat them consistently, which it happened.
Yeah, I bet.
So I was competing in CrossFit. I was traveling around Europe doing different throwdowns and stuff, and then got an opportunity to become an owner with the gym that I was a member of. Did that for 2 years. We built that up to 2 locations. Big staff of 20 we had there. I think we got that to like, how many members was it across the 2 locations when I left? About probably 300-400. So very different, but it's a very different model, right? From that massive scale down to the niche.
So what is the model this time?
This time it is low cost equipment, high cost membership.
Yeah. Is there like a lot of costs in the trainers, or does it not really?
Yeah, you have. I don't actually know what the term is in English. Sprungfixkosten. It is in German. This is all over in Germany. So
can you speak like 4 languages? Is that what's going on right now?
6. Yeah, I got 6 now.
Okay.
I genuinely speak 6 languages.
I believe you.
The sarcasm's coming out. No. So what that means is that your fixed costs go in leaps and jumps, right? So you have fixed costs at this level of training, and then you bring the next person on, and then you can grow for a little while, and then it jumps again.
Sure.
So it's just kind of like stepping stones, just fixed costs that you try and outpace with the membership and the pricing model.
And what do we call that in German again?
Sprungfixkosten. So Sprung is a jump.
Sprungfixkosten.
Sprung is a jump. Fixkosten is fixed costs. Yeah.
The only thing I know in German is mein Bauch tut weh.
Mein Bauch tut weh. Ah, du Arme.
My stomach, for anyone listening, that means my stomach is sore.
My belly hurts.
I got a tummy ache. Oh, damn.
Yeah, that was fun times.
Yeah, for sure. I want to jump in on one thing. How did the opportunity to become an owner happen? Because that's the dream for a lot of people. Like, what happened? How did you show up? And how was that conversation? Did you prime it? Like, let's hear it all.
Synchronicity. So something I took from my dad. He crops up a lot in conversations, doesn't he? But something I took from my dad was in life you have crossroads that will in regular intervals appear, and all you can do is make the best decisions at the crossroads of life that you can at the time. And so I've noticed this pattern retroactively, and also have been able to recognize it when it's happening now. Mm-hmm. Oh shit, this is one of those crossroad things. And typically, if you allow it, if you don't think about these decisions here, but feel them here, the decision is already made. The path's already laid out. You just have to tap into that, and the decision makes itself. And so what happened was this was a funny bit of synchronicity, and this has happened to me twice now. This is how I got into Nomadic Closer as well. It was a synchronicity. I was managing the chain of gym, the gym, and a girl came to work as a trainer there, who I knew was kind of like had something to do with CrossFit. She'd worked for a CrossFit equipment company that we bought some equipment from, etc. So kind of knew each other through that. She became a trainer. A couple months later, she said she handed in a notice, and she said, "Hey Adam, I'll be leaving." And I was like, "Oh shit, what's going on? What are you going to be doing?" And she said, "I'm going to open a CrossFit gym." I was like, "No way, that's so cool." I said, "Where is it?" And she said, "In Heidelberg." Heidelberg was the city where I lived. I was like, "No way, where in Heidelberg?" And she goes, "Wiblingen." I was like, "Where in Wiblingen?" That was the neighborhood I lived. And she said, "By the Rewe," which is the supermarket. I was like, "I live right there." I was like, "Can I give you my money right now?" Like, I'm signed up. Yeah. So I was literally one of the first members there. And then, I was kind of spending more time there. I was at work as well sometimes, but just really enjoying their coaching. So her and her husband opened the gym, and, really did a great job building a great brand. But they were very much first-time small business owners, brick-and-mortar business owners, first-time gym owners. And so their first year, they did well, but they were very much capped at how to grow and expand. And so they approached me and said, "Hey, would you at some point consider coming and joining us and building this together?" And at the time when they approached me for this, I said, "Sure, but at the moment I've got a good thing going with this. We're growing, etc. And so maybe further down the line, yeah, no problem. Further down the line." That was maybe 6 months in. So after about a year, they were really struggling to bring on their first team member and hire and scale and grow because they just never done it before. And I, at this point, was no longer happy at the gyms that I was managing because the owner was starting to become very, very strange. He was like calling up the gyms to find out where I was. He was very strange. And so I had a direct report who was my first mentor, I'd say, who bought me the Tools of Titans book. And I was like, "Dude, like, what's this deal?" And he was like, Doesn't matter. You're doing a good job. You know you're doing a good job. Your team around you loves you. What the fuck does it matter? But it was getting worse and worse and worse. And he eventually then, his wife got pregnant and he said, I'll probably be going on paternity leave soon. I don't know if I'll be coming back. As soon as he said that, it clicked in my mind. I was like, I'm out. I'm out. I'm done here. And so I left the room and I checked my messages, and the owners of the CrossFit gym, Chris and Alex, had messaged me saying, hey, Adam, we have an opportunity. Can you talk this week? And so I said, where are you? And I drove around, we had the conversation, and that was that. It was literally that. We hadn't spoken about it for 6 months. I have the conversation. My mentor, my boss says, I'm going on paternity leave. I might not be coming back. I leave the room knowing that I'm done there. And the next thing is right on my phone. It was crazy.
It's wild. What value do you think about hustling to make your own luck versus just like letting it come to you?
I don't think it's a binary either or. I think it's a both. I think that when you are, this is the pattern that I've noticed, anecdotally over my life, is everything that I have done, I have given everything I have to it without expecting a whole bunch in return. Probably to my detriment at times, to be honest.
Yeah. How many times is that actually, has it been a net benefit or a net negative?
A massive net benefit.
Okay. How come?
I truly believe that all of the opportunities that have come to me have been because I have just put out. And they've come in the strangest ways, in the most unexpected ways, but I just have kind of poured myself into each challenge that I've been faced with. And then the next thing has kind of magically appeared and come to me. So going into sales, my first ever, and I'm sure we'll have to rewind and kind of go back from the beginning, but my first ever sales management role that I was offered came to me because I had been a closer on that account a few months back, and I'd only been there for 2 weeks, but I just kind of showed up and did the best I could and just showed up with good energy. And he reached back out and months later and really almost pursued me to take this opportunity. It was never part of my plan. I never had a master plan. Like, I'm going to do this and then that's going to happen. And then I'm going to make sure that this happens. I'm going to, I'd never had goals. I just literally poured myself into everything that I had. And I believe that everything is going to come back to me because of that. I'm a deep believer in that. Do you know the book, The Surrender Experiment?
No.
Michael Singer. Phenomenal book. He by accident built a multi-billion-dollar tech company.
Whoopsie.
By accident. Genuinely. It's a crazy story.
Run me through it.
So Michael Singer got into sort of spirituality, just a struggling young man. Then went into a phase of meditating for 30 minutes twice a day religiously. And this started opening up doors and opportunities for him. He then got asked to lecture at a university about something. I can't remember what. I think it was something technological. He turned up barefoot, nothing prepared, and just surrendered to the task and just taught from the heart and just kind of channeled, as he would put it. Then that led to the next opportunity, and it wasn't really something that he particularly wanted to do or sort out, but he was like, okay, I'll do that. And it was some sort of very early software back in the 80s. Mm-hmm. And then that opened up the next opportunity. And it was the surrender experiment that he never tried to force or forge a path. He followed the path that was being presented in front of him and surrendered to it. And without having done that on purpose, I think that looking back retroactively, that's something that's given me outsized returns.
Just quickly though, I love doing this podcast. If it's positively impacted you in some way and you would like to support us, please subscribe. By subscribing, it allows us to build a much bigger base of listeners, which results in better guests, better production, and a better show overall. Alternatively, please take a look at the affiliate links of the products that I use and love in the comments below, and consider purchasing using those links. They'll give you a discount, and they'll also provide the podcast a small kickback. These are two very easy ways for you to support us as we continue to grow the podcast that we absolutely love doing. Thank you for your support,
And now back to the episode.
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely an opposite approach to what I've done in the past. And I'm finding that I'm moving more and more into this approach that you're saying. Like I think maybe it's a product of coming from a place, maybe a much smaller place where, I don't know, opportunities may have been a little bit less around, but I don't know. But from my experience, it's been, I spent the first, say, 10 years of my life just like hustle, just like forcing myself into like rooms, forcing myself into situations, like getting it done and like having success, but then up to a point. And then at a certain point, it's like, is this person needed anymore? Is he valuable to this project? And the answer would come back as no. And then I'd, either get like moved on or, whatever. And it's happened a bunch of times. And recently, I think now that I've moved to New York, it's become a little bit different because I'm like, the challenge isn't necessarily the opportunity. It's the right opportunity. And the challenge isn't finding things to do. It's finding things that align with you that you can add value to.
Yep.
So I'm in that transition period. I'm in that crossroad, and that crossroad has led me to New York. But that's just step one, and I don't know what the next steps are. But right now, I'm not doing anything outside of just trying to survive to eat and funnel the podcast. That doesn't result in if someone says, "Oh, we're doing X, Y, Z," I'm like, cool. Can I be of service here? Can I actually genuinely help? If I can't help, I don't want a piece of this. And that's a different mindset that I used to have. It's like, cool, I'll grab this, I'll grab that, I'll do this, I'll take a bit here, I'll take a bit there. And but it's like, it doesn't last.
Yep.
So we'll see if this changes.
Interesting. Our nature is to be of mutual benefit.
Yeah.
That's Dan probably said that on his podcast, didn't he? Our nature is to be of mutual benefit. And when you find those areas of mutual benefit, things tend to flow more naturally because there's reciprocal energy that's kind of self-perpetuating. And it's not an energy of push, of grind, of I'm going to force this. That can be done. And there are people that have made careers and made like fortunes with pure push energy. I've done that also. A big realization for myself last year was changing that push energy into more of a lighter energy, a pull energy. Going back to the rapid fire of don't do things because you feel you should or need to, do things that you want to do. And that's the difference. This is the push energy is I have to achieve these goals because I am a hustler and I gotta crush my goals. And and the unsaid, the unconscious, the unsaid is otherwise I am not good enough. Otherwise I am not worthy of love. Otherwise I am not special. Otherwise I won't get any attention. I won't get any status. That's the unsaid. When you do things that you want to do, there is no unsaid. It is, this is what I want to do. And that's it. And that's the only reason. And then it comes from much lighter energy, a much lighter place. And the energy is more of a pull energy. You get pulled towards your goals rather than you pushing the rock up the hill, if that makes sense.
Yeah. No, it makes a lot of sense. The podcast is an example of that. Like this is a very light project. When I start a podcast, I feel a certain way. 99% of the time when I end the podcast, I'm like fired up, energized.
Yes.
Like I did an episode with a guy that's got his name's Scott Cleary. He's got a business, like one of the best entrepreneur podcasts. I think it's like top 5 entrepreneur podcasts in the world right now. He's got like 22 million downloads and just crushing, right?
Wow.
And we did a podcast together. And after the podcast, I'm like, what feedback can I get? And he just said, this, and this, and this. And I was like, all right, cool. Dropped $1,000. I just bought everything I needed just then and there. And I was thinking about it. I'm like, look, this podcast is by no means like profitable or in the green, but he made a really good point where it was like, if you want to be a pro at this, these are the things that I see. It's like, I can accept that. And I'm like, I do want this to be as best as it can be. And I'm happy to put in that effort and let the chips fall where they may.
Yep.
So
I think that's everything we do or pursue is kind of like placing bets anyway. And so there'll be bets that you're willing to place, which are fun bets. And there are bets that you'll be willing to place, which are kind of return on investment bets. And those are very different bets. And with the fun bets, you're more willing to stack more chips in that direction because you're willing to lose them. Oftentimes those are the ones that reap the greatest rewards.
Well, thinking about this realistically, all that I did was I bought a nice mic. I bought a teleprompter so I can look at the screen appropriately, and just like a couple of extra lights.
Right.
And it's fun and also productive. Like, I can use that for everything. Like those tools I can use for the next 10 years. Yeah. So if content's a priority, which it is, then it's kind of like a no-brainer. Yep. But it's funny because, living in New York as an example, it's expensive. I've come here without like a clear job. So I'm like hustling, taking on clients, taking on contracts to try and just make ends meet. It's not sustainable yet it feels like the right move to invest $1,000 more into like this podcast project that is still at its infancy.
I love it. And that's something to be said for that.
So
do you feel more professional and more like fired up to do a podcast when you have all this equipment and all this gear and you feel like you're doing a better job and you feel like you're more professional and you feel like you're progressing?
Well, I bought it yesterday, so I'll let you know.
Did you really? Okay, let me know after this one.
I'll let you know.
Let me know how you felt.
The important piece is doing it at the best standard you can do it, and just giving it your absolute best. And I've found that there's been moments in time in my life where there's been things that have been uber successful, in their own ways, when somebody's come to me and said, "Hey, I'm doing this. What do you think?" Or, "Hey, what do you want to work on this project?" And I go, "Yeah, cool." Or they say, or it's the other end. It's like someone comes up with a good idea and it's a competitive idea that's going to like affect me, and it like kicks me up the arse to go do something about it. So it felt like, yesterday felt like one of those moments in time where I'm not going to fix these issues or improve on this project unless I'm kind of kicked up the arse to do it, or I don't even know to improve on the project unless someone makes it clear that there's a better way. And there's a very finite amount of energy and motivation in those times that I think you need to just run with, because after I set all this up and it's working, that will become my default state again. And then I won't do anything for another 6 months until someone says, "Hey, have you thought of this?" And I go, "Oh, fuck, all right." So,
we always need a bone to chew on.
Yeah, definitely.
We need a nice meaty bone to chew on, something to chip away at, something to work on. Sounds like you found your bone.
I think so. I'm curious about the 6 languages. So what's your process to learning a language?
So I suppose the first process to learning a language quickly and fluently was just be young. That's skill number 1 you need to acquire. So I was obviously very fortunate that I was 13 when we moved to Spain. Yeah. So that was, pretty quick that I could pick it up. Old enough to be a bit self-conscious in the beginning about speaking it, but still young enough to pick it up. And growing up in Europe, we're very fortunate that we are exposed to different languages. So we've been on holiday to Italy when I was a little kid. We'd been on holiday to France. I'd have been exposed to, Mum had bought us the word books and the how to speak Spanish for kids, that kind of stuff. And I was genuinely, naturally always very interested in languages. One of my earliest memories, I remember getting all of these different books that I could find in the bookshelves that we had, and drawing up a table with yes, no, hello, goodbye, thank you, you're welcome, blah, blah, blah. And then down the side, French, Italian, Spanish. I remember finding a Greek book somewhere. Was just kind of trying to transcribe. One of my earliest memories, I just wanted to do that one day. So I've always had like a bit of an interest in languages. When I was old enough then, so I guess when I moved to Germany, I was 21. That was the fourth country I'd ever lived in. And German was by far the hardest language that I'd learnt up until then, because it's so different to the Spanish, French, English, kind of, the more Latin languages. And so what I noticed, and this is something that anybody can do if they're learning a language, is that I learned through context and repetition instantly. If I, through context, saw someone say, let's say in Spanish, or, if I saw through context somebody say in German, pass me that phone, and somebody would grab the phone and pass it to them, and I kind of got like, oh, pass me the phone, oh, that must be, okay, and that happened. Got it? And if I was able to replicate that as quickly as possible and repeat that, even if it was a little bit weird and out of context and joking, I would never, ever forget it. I would never forget the word or the phrase or the sentence. And so there's actually, I've heard, a very good platform called, I want to say it's called Dream in Spanish, where you basically watch videos and you learn Spanish through the context of what's happening in the scene.
Okay.
Yeah. And I believe that's how we work. Our brain is, or words and letters, reading and writing is very new to our brain. Images are as old as time. If I say Paris, you don't see Paris, you see the Eiffel Tower. And so we learn actually languages through imagery, through context, through association. And if you can then repeat it, even if it's like just doing it in a stupid way with your friends or something, I guarantee you will never forget it again. That was my hack.
Did you language stack? Like, did you, once you learned Spanish, learn German through Spanish, so you solidify your Spanish and then your German, or did you go from English to each one? Because I heard that's an interesting approach to get to the second, the third and fourth languages. Do you know what I'm talking about?
I learned each language kind of individually. I learned pretty quickly that trying to translate in your head is the worst thing you can do. If you try and, I want to say this in Spanish, and so I think of it in English, and then I try and change the words into Spanish and then say it, and then I listen to it and I think, okay, that's that in English. And it's the worst way to go about it. You'll not progress. I did find it, I will say this, that once you learn a second language and a third language, it becomes exponentially easier to learn. Yes, it becomes much easier to learn consequence languages because of not just learning the language, but learning the skill of learning the language. It's like once you learn one or two different musical instruments, it's much easier to pick up the next because you can repeat the patterns that helped you get proficient in the other instruments, if that makes sense.
Yeah, I can play the triangle, but it hasn't helped with anything else.
Keep going. Try the whistle.
Yeah. I mean, it's like double the complexity, to be fair. So we're moving in the right direction.
Yeah, you got some breathing to do as well.
Exactly. Yeah. Okay, interesting. So if you were to, distill down the 3 or 5 key things that will impact somebody's ability to learn a new language, aka me, what would it be?
Exposure, immersion. So with those countries that I moved to, I was playing rugby in Germany. I had the guys speaking German all the time.
Yeah.
Don't be afraid of that. Don't be afraid of the immersion, and try not to switch off to it. So that would be 1. Immerse yourself in it. Number 2, try not to switch off. It's very easy because it's tiring for our brain to try and keep up, and try not to switch off and just tune it out. It won't do you any good. Just kind of listen and just kind of keep tabs on what's going on. Number 3, when you do understand something through context, grab it and try and say it to the next person who listen as quickly as possible. It's a how to learn name hack as well. If you just look someone in the eye and say their name back to them, you'll never forget it. You can't not. Number 4, subtitles was beneficial as well.
Yeah, watching movies in another language. My sister learned a few languages doing that, just watching, say, in Spanish, and then the English subtitles.
Yep. I picked up a bit of Romanian. I don't speak Romanian fluently, so I don't count it in the 6, but I picked up a fair bit of Romanian.
6.2.
6.2, yeah. 6.2 languages. So that would be a 4th one, is watching, Watching stuff with subtitles, so in the language that you want to learn, audio, your own language in the subtitles. And the fifth would be, please do not label yourself as not good at languages.
Sure.
That should probably be number one.
Yeah, start with the mindset.
Yes. Don't label yourself that you're not good at languages. If anything, if you have to tell yourself something negative, say learning new languages doesn't come naturally to me. Because it opens up the door that I just have to put more effort in. That's it.
So run me through exactly what it you shouldn't say and what you should say. Let's say that again. One more time, just to make it clear.
So you shouldn't say, I am not good at. The pattern I had with this was when I managed the first gym that I managed, I kept on telling myself I was disorganized. And so lo and behold, I was very forgetful and disorganized until I would have talks with my team, and I would ask them, is there any situations that, you find difficult in our work together? And all of them said, yeah, it does bother me a bit when you forget stuff. So I was like, oh, okay. So if this is the only thing that's bothering everybody, maybe I can do something about it. And the first thing I did, and I don't know why I did it, but I must have been listening to a good podcast at the time, is I started saying, I am not naturally an organized person.
Yeah.
And all it did was open up the possibility. The unsaid there is, I just have to put more effort in. And so I did. But when I was disorganized, that's fixed mindset. That is fixed. I am disorganized, and I will forever and a day be, cast a spell upon myself to be disorganized. Until I switched and said, I'm not naturally organized. It meant that I just need to put a bit more effort into it. And so same with languages. Don't tell yourself I'm not good at languages. Just say, learning new languages doesn't come naturally to me.
Cool. I want to, I really like that. And I think words are very powerful, and you got to be super careful on the things that you say, even as a joke. That's where self-deprecating humor is like my go-to. And I'm noticing it's potentially an issue, especially with Americans. They just have no sarcasm radar.
That's
yeah. So I'm just offending people left, right, and center. Yeah. So I just need to tone it down a little bit. So it's probably a good thing, though. Just kind of say it how it is.
Fuck them.
Yeah. No, I love the Americans. They're great.
Yeah,
they're crazy, but they're great. I'm conscious of time, but I do want to do a little exercise with you. I'd love to do a little how-to on how to do a sales call and how to close a sales call.
Wow.
So let's pick a product. Maybe a product that that I might know. So I don't know, like a supplement. Let's pick a supplement product. Testosterone supplement product. Yeah, let's go with that.
Tomcat Ali.
Yeah, let's go with Tomcat Ali. I'm looking at, a 6-month supply for my gym. I'm on the fence of positive or negative. You're the sales guy. You're the sales rep for the company. Let's do it. So where do we begin?
Cool. Okay. So with sales, and this comes directly from probably the best sales coach that I've had, probably one of the best in the world, a man named Bill Walsh, who actually teaches sales back to front. He actually teaches you how to overcome objections first, which is everything that happens after someone says no, and how to turn a no into a yes. And then he works backwards from there. That's number one. Number two, I would say, is the only 3 things that really should come out of a sales rep's mouth are questions, clarifications, and analogies. And so for anybody who may feel that selling is, pushing a product, explaining it, bigging it up, jazzing it up, that unfortunately doesn't work in this day and age, especially when selling high ticket products, high ticket coaching services. Essentially, all we need to do is ask questions to get to the truth. So going front to back to the call, the first thing I want to find out is, what is it that you're looking for specifically? What is the goal? What is the outcome that you're looking to achieve?
Yeah, I mean, my testosterone levels are at 150, so I need to get them up.
I'm not surprised.
What makes you say that?
I would never say that. Okay, so what are you looking for specifically? You're looking to, your testosterone was at 150. Okay, so what's the goal?
probably 400, 500 would be nice, just to feel like a man again.
Yeah, I can relate to that. Okay, got you. So 400, 500. How long have you been wanting to get them from 150 back up to 400, 500?
I don't know, the last few months when I realized this was an issue.
Just the last few months? Okay, I got you. And so what are you doing currently to, outside of obviously, speaking to someone like myself, what are you doing currently to get yourself to back up to sort of 500 levels?
I haven't done anything yet.
Nothing yet?
Okay. Nah, this is just the start of the process. So I'm not really sold on whether this is the right approach. I'm still trying to figure out what I need.
Neither am I. It might not be the right approach. Just find out.
What do you mean?
Well, everybody's different, and it could be that this isn't the right way for you. It's been the right way for a lot of our clients that have had a lot of success with it, but it might not be the right for you. So, totally open to that as well. So, you're currently not doing anything about it. So, I mean, essentially, to get you from 150 to 400 to 500, we are going to have to do something differently, correct? Okay, but why now though? Because you have known about this for a couple of months, and so why is it that you do want to make that change now?
Man, I'm just feeling like it's affecting my relationships. It's affecting my ability to go to the gym. It's affecting my work. I just feel clouded and subhuman.
Subhuman.
I don't know, maybe subhuman is the wrong word, but I just don't feel like I could feel, and I don't feel like a real, like there's so much more that I could be doing, but I'm just not, because I just don't have the energy and I don't have the drive, and it's likely, I did some Googling and I saw that this is a problem.
Damn. How long have you felt that way?
Like 10 years. No, I'm just kidding. Sorry. Yeah, about 6 months. It really came. It's been like I've noticed it really in the last 6 months.
Shit. What was the change that made you notice it?
Just waking up one day, just exhausted and not knowing why.
Damn. Okay. So do you feel after 6 months of enduring that it's time to make some sort of a change? You ready to draw a line in the sand and try something to get a different result, or how do you feel about that?
Yeah, I mean, yeah, for sure. I just know there's all these snake oil salesmen out here, and I just like there's all this stuff. How do I know that these things are good? How do I know they're like safe? Am I about to get ripped off? I just don't want to. I don't want to get ripped off.
Oh, well, nobody does, do they?
No, especially me.
Yeah, there's nothing we'd ever invest in that we knew we were going to get ripped off from, right?
So, would you call this an investment?
Would you?
I mean, if I feel like I've got more energy, I can put more into my job, I can maybe get a promotion, maybe my wife won't leave me, I can get out, walk the dog. I used to love walking the dog. I just don't have the energy anymore.
Oh, shit. Okay. Well, so let's say we are able to get you back in that position where you are feeling that way and you are able to do all of those things. Like, what does that really look like for you then at that point?
I mean, I feel like I have more hope.
More hope?
Yeah. Yeah, more hope.
Is that something you don't feel you have now?
It just feels blunted. Everything just feels dull. Like the sparks not there,
Yeah. So for you to be able to get that spark back and feel like you are kind of crushing it and have that hope and the colors are a little brighter. I mean, how would that feel at that point? Do you feel?
Yeah, great. I mean, that'd be amazing.
Yeah. I had an amazing coffee this morning. I don't know.
What do you mean?
Define amazing?
Okay. So I need to elaborate. I don't know. Just would make me feel hopeful, and the hope of doing better is an amazing feeling. Very motivating feeling.
I can imagine. That's kind of what our biological imperative as men is, isn't it? To feel that hope, to feel that drive. So do you feel you're really ready to feel that way again, or?
I think so. Yeah.
You think so? You either are or you aren't, really, aren't you?
Yeah. Okay. I am.
Yeah? Are you sure? You're not just being polite?
No, I am. Yeah.
Okay,
Cool.
because you don't have to be.
Okay. All right. Well, we'll cut it. We'll stop
Pause
there. That was great. So there are a few things I wanted that I noted. You mentioned, like, you said, and I just want to break this down a little bit.
Sure.
So you said you said got you a few times at the beginning. So, like, was there a specific attempt to connect with the person? Like, if you were to think it through?
Maybe not consciously, but what I am doing at the beginning of a call is I'm making lots of mental notes. Mm-hmm. And so sometimes it's almost just for me. Okay, gotcha. I'm making mental notes. I'm just storing things in the bank and just kind of building up a picture of the situation of the person, what they're looking for and what they're not looking for. Sure.
And then you had you mentioned it might not be right for you as at the start. So what's the thought process around a comment like that?
I'm looking to remove sales pressure. I don't want you to feel that I'm trying to sell you something. I want you to feel that I'm genuinely looking to match a need with a solution. Okay. And if this is it, cool. And if it's not, I'm cool with it either way.
Okay.
Yeah. I can't remember what triggered it. You said something to me.
I was looking into it. I'm looking into it. Ideas. I don't
know. You said, I don't know if this is the right thing for me, which would trigger most salespeople to say, oh, for sure. And I'm, of course. And like try and convince you. I'm not here to convince you. I'm here to match a need with a want. That's all.
And then you said, why now? So what was the thought process behind that?
Mm-hmm. So do you remember kind of what your answer was to the why now question?
I was depressed.
Yeah. So it drew out a lot of emotion, didn't it?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. So up until that point, everything was a little bit more surface level. Like, what's the goal? What do you want to get to? What are you doing about it currently? What you're doing, you're probably going to have to make some sort of change. We're going to have to make some sort of a change to get a different result now, aren't we? Yes. So why now? And so when I ask why now, what I'm doing is I'm implying urgency. I'm implying that this is a now thing. But I'm also asking you why you want to make that change now. And typically there's a second layer of emotion behind that is driving you to want to make the change now rather than later or earlier. And I want to find that out. I want to bring that to the surface.
Okay. And then you mentioned investment. So why are you framing a purchase as an investment?
I think I'm used to selling investment opportunities.
Sure.
But I also know that we invest in our health.
Okay.
And so you very quickly asked me if I thought it was an investment. And whoever asks the questions leads the conversation. So do you remember what I asked you back? What I said back to you?
Do you think it's an investment? I
said I just put it back on you. I'm not answering your fucking questions.
Okay.
I'll ask the questions. But I asked you, would you? And then you had to go away and think, do I think it's an investment? And then you said, I suppose if I get this back, and I put this in and I get this back, then it is investment. I could have told you that. I could have said, well, yeah, sure. If you put something in and you get something back, it's an investment. Now you have two options. If I tell you something, you have two options: to either accept it or to refute it. If you tell me, you have one option, and that's to accept it because you're the one that came up with it. That's gospel then, isn't it?
Yeah.
So I don't want to tell you anything. I only want to ask. There's only questions, clarifications, and analogies.
So the next part was you said more hope with an upward inflection.
Yep.
So run me through what that means and what's going on there.
It's just basic mirroring. I'm inviting you to expand on the positive emotion. So from the why now, you gave me some of the negatives. And what I was doing then is I wanted to flip it back up into the positives. So let's say we do get you into a position where you are doing this, that, and the other again. What does life look like for you then? How would that feel? I'm trying to bring you back up into a positive and a high vibrational state. And on the way up, I want you to tell me all of the good things and all of the positive things, and I want you to expand on that as much as possible. One way of doing it is just repeating the last word with an upward inflection. Hope. Well, yeah, because blah, 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 and you're going to expand on it, and you're going to not just tell me, because I know that life is great with my solution, right? I know that life is great with my product. I want you to tell me, and I want you to tell, more importantly, I want you to tell yourself.
What if you don't believe the product? Well, should you not be in that sales job?
Correct.
Okay. Interesting.
Yeah, you won't do well.
Okay. And then so when you're dealing with sales calls or, working on sale, trying to close a sale, you're looking to address the potential downsides, but then bring them out of that space as quickly as possible into into an ideal future or a end state that they're going to be in after, they make a call.
That's correct. Yep.
Okay.
So the bit after that, after we kind of timed out, is what would have brought you back down into what's called a consequence or cost of an action.
Yeah.
Where I would have found out, what life is going to look like if you go another 6 months feeling the same way, and have that stark emotional contrast of, this is what I want life to feel like, and this is how I would feel. This is what life would look like, and how I would feel if I didn't have that, and have that gap as wide as possible to invite you to understand both possibilities. And then if I can connect the dots between avoiding this and having this with our solution, then we're in a good position for that to actually provide you with that, and for you to see that connection as well and make the purchase. That's essentially what we're doing there. Yeah,
it makes sense. And you wanted to get specific on the definitions. So when I said it would be amazing, you said define what that means. What's going on there?
Because it's a bit of a surface level throwaway word that can be just used sometimes to say, yeah, that'd be great. And what you're saying, somebody that says, yeah, that'd be great. What they're actually saying is, can we just move on, please?
So what's the benefit of moving on with them or putting the pressure on exploring it?
I'd like them to actually go and take a moment to analyze their answer and what would actually be great about it. And I want them to envisage it, because they actually have to go inside and take a moment and really think about it, rather than say, yeah, that'd be great. Thinking about, what time it is and I want to move on with this. Okay, but I had a coffee that was great this morning. Like, what does great mean to you? It might mean different things to me than it does to you. Well, cool. and now I've got to kind of look up, and I've got to go and envisage and what I mean by that, and I've got to justify my answer. I've got to really think about it. And it makes no odds to me what the answer is. It matters that you tell yourself.
And then you confirmed, you got a yes or a no at a point of, we got to an end point, and it was, the next step was,
do you feel you're really ready for all of that?
Yeah. So it was get a yes or get a no. And if there was a no, where would have gone from there? Just left it?
No. Absolutely not. No, I would have found out what made you say no.
Okay.
Yeah. Just with childlike curiosity, being incredibly open to the fact that, no, I'm not ready for this. And this is actually not, I've kind of thought about it now. It's not what I want to do. Okay. If that's the best decision for you. And I'll obviously want to explore it and unpack it and pull on that thread, but I'm open to both. I just want a clear yes or no. Anything I think so is just not.
Yeah. At what point do you, when you get a clear no, do you know if it's a real no or if it's just
It's a full body no. Truth vibrates on a different frequency, and you can just kind of feel it. And so, for example, I had a guy on the team of mine. We were selling a BizOp YouTube automation coaching offer, and he had someone who was kind of doing already quite well with their job, and they were looking to start this side hustle. And what he was doing was asking, why don't you just double down on the job or the business or whatever it was that you were currently doing? And he was doing it to actually cut that off as a possibility for them to come back at the end and say, do you know what? I think I'm just going to do the thing I was doing. So it's why don't you just double down on it? And typically people say, because I don't want to, or because I can't. And it's right, okay, so we have to do something different to get a different result? Yes. So I'm getting commitment to change. This person, however, with his line of question said, do you know what? I haven't really thought about it this way. Do you know what? I probably should just double down on that, shouldn't I? And he was like, I suppose, I don't know, are you sure? And the guy was like, do you know what? Thank you so much for that. I think I really needed that. I hadn't really thought it through properly, and this, that, and the other. And he left the call being like, he'd made the decision. He was not going to do it, and he was going to pursue this thing. So he came to me and was like, Adam, like, what could have I done differently? And I was like, nothing. You brought into a decision. That's sales.
Yeah.
The decision could be yes, it could be no. All I want is a decision. And that's why I don't want anything in the middle.
Interesting. So just for some context, like I am very into sales and I'm very into...
I noticed. You're very observant there. You picked up on a lot there.
Well, I've actually got Chris Voss coming on the podcast in like a month.
No!
Yep.
Seriously? Yeah. Oh, man.
You should see my cold email. It's crazy.
Yeah, I'll bet. Chris Voss. That's where I got the...
Yeah, I know. That's why I noticed it straight away.
Chris Voss is a G. I love that guy. Never Split the Difference. Great book.
Great book. All right. Well, look, I appreciate your time on all this. I think I'd like to quickly do a few final philosophical questions and then we can wrap it up. So
I love those.
What views do you have that would make most people either scratch their head or get angry?
Probably around relationship forms.
Go on.
Society's presented us with one relationship form, and that is monogamous. Mm-hmm. Jealous, insecure, monogamous. My generation watched Friends for a whole decade and was modeled one form of relationship religiously once a week, monogamous, jealous, and insecure. The Ross Rachel story. It's one relationship form of many. And so why people then struggle with infidelity and these kinds of things is because they are only provided one option for their love life, sexuality, their romantic life. And they don't know that there are potential other options. And it's starting to come to light. So the parallel that I draw is, if you think about homosexuality back in the 40s and the 50s, it was marginalized. It was, you're a freak, you are disowned from your parents. This is not an option for you in life. And nowadays we know that homosexuality is just one sexuality of many, and that it's a natural inclination that is just something that we're kind of born with, and that's the path we go. And I truly believe the same as for relationship forms, but we're just not presented with the options.
Okay. Interesting.
That's a
whole podcast in itself, damn.
It is, yes. I could talk about it for a long time as well.
I bet. Maybe we can do a round 2.
Yeah, I'd love to.
Nice. And what's the biggest thing in the last 2 years that you've changed your mind on? Dan's a jet.
Wow.
He was peering into my soul through the camera. I was like, how the fuck?
Was he doing the whole being really present thing with you? Yeah, love Dan. Phenomenal dude. Yeah.
Brilliant. What's the kindest thing anyone's ever done for you?
The kindest thing? Surprise birthday party.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. I struggled with that as a kid because I'm born in August 10th. Mm-hmm. And all my friends were always on holiday. So birthday, I've never really got a good birthday party. And the year that I got a surprise birthday party was quite emotional for me, actually. Yeah,
that's really sweet.
It was nice.
Yeah, my birthday's coming up, so if anyone listening to this wants to surprise me. If you could only recommend one book, podcast, or experience for someone to read or do for their whole life that will have the most impact that it could possibly have, so they can only do one key thing that will begin a trajectory, what would it be?
Meditate.
Yeah. Dude, meditation's crazy. That has been, there's been a few things in my life that have had such meaningful impacts, and meditation, I can remember who I was prior to meditating and who I am post meditating, and they are worlds apart.
I remember getting into it 2016, and 10 days in, I walked out of the house and I just stopped in my tracks. I was like, I can hear birds singing. I've never heard birds singing before. Isn't that crazy?
Yeah.
It stopped me in my tracks. I was like, listen to that. It was amazing. That was 10 days in. It was crazy.
Yeah. Yeah, I when I'm meditating, it's been a whirlwind, and I haven't for a while. But the last 2 days, I've done 20 minutes in the morning, which has been nice. And it's funny, just yesterday my brain was just like, got shit to do. You gotta move. Like, oh, that sounds annoying. It's like, and then I got to this point of like serious agitation, like really like about to get up. And then I got over the hump, and then it was just like the birds chirping. Like you just heard the clarity. I was like, oh yeah.
Huh. Look at that little voice there.
Yeah.
Being all weird.
Yeah.
It's great, isn't it?
It is great.
And I hope anybody that's watching isn't the kind of person that says to themselves, I can't meditate because I can't stop thinking. The fact that you sat down and noticed that you couldn't stop thinking, you meditated.
Yeah, definitely.
You actually did it. Yeah. The fact that you noticed that you were thinking in the first place was meditation. So you fucking crushed it. Just don't stop doing it.
Yeah. Nice. Adam, is there anything that you're excited about at the moment that you want to let the listeners in on?
Yeah, very excited. We'll be able to announce the season 2 of the Nomadic Closer house very, very soon. So very, very excited about that. Otherwise, I'm excited for life, dude. I'm excited for the second half of this year. I'm excited to just keep working and keep building what we are at Nomadic Closer. I've had a big perspective shift recently on the long-term view. I'm incredibly competitive, and so whilst we're 7 months into being a sales agency and a growth firm, I was expecting us to be, number one in the market and crushing everybody left, right, and center. And lo and behold, we're not, because we're 7 months into it. Like, who the fuck was I kidding? And so I had a huge perspective shift of not needing to beat anyone or anything right now. I can do it in 5 years. Just
beat yourself from yesterday.
Exactly.
Yeah.
We can be number one in 5 years. I don't care.
Yeah.
I'll be patient with outputs and impatient with inputs. And that's what I'm excited for. Just to work on this as much as I can and build the best thing that I can. And that'll be a win. I'm very excited for that.
Bit of Gary V insight there. That's
yeah, there you go.
A little one-liner from the great man.
Yeah, standing on the shoulders of giants, aren't we?
Oh yeah, aren't we all? Aren't we all? And where can people find you if they're interested?
Instagram at Adam _Paul _Taylor. Mm-hmm. YouTube Adam_Paul Taylor. Mm-hmm. And otherwise Nomadic Closer on Instagram, YouTube, and Facebook.
Nice. And the last question, just to round it all up, what is the meaning of life?
Oof. I like Wes Watson's. So there's two, actually. There's a quote, I forget who it is. I think it was a French guy. The meaning of life is the reason you don't end it. So whatever the reason is that you don't actually just go and kill yourself is the meaning of life for you.
So what's your meaning of life?
The one I like is from Wes Watson. It is to build the man that you admire in all ways and give that man to the world. And so what he's alluding to is the self-actualization and then self-transcendence from Maslow's pyramid. That I feel is the truest meaning of life that I can really relate to, is doing the best I can and then giving that to the next people. Nice.
I like it. I've never heard that before. I like it a lot.
Where's Watson? Get him on here.
Yeah, well, I'll have to look in. Is he? I'm guessing he's. Well, he must be still alive.
Very much alive. Very much alive. Look at Wes Watson. He's a phenomenal dude. I'd love for you to have him on the podcast.
Yeah, I mean, crazier things have happened. So, Adam, this was great. You are. This was very fun, very insightful. Lots of great stories, lots of great tips and lessons about, a number of different things. So I appreciate you. I appreciate your time. Appreciate your energy. So thank you.
Yeah. Thank you so much for trusting your audience with me. It's hope they got a positive return on their attention today.
I think so. And anyone listening to this still at this point, if you could give us a subscribe, the podcast a rating, let us know your thoughts on a Q&A or on Spotify, or comment on YouTube. We'd love to hear from you.
Yeah. Otherwise, we'll come beat you up.
He'll come beat you up.
Gladly.
All right. Until next time. See you, Adam.
Cheers, guys.
Bye.